All right, everybody, I apologize. There was a little confusion about in-person versus in Zoom, but here we are. Some of us are at the town office, some of us are at our homes, and it is 6:32, and I'm going to call the June 15th, 2021 meeting to order. Additions to the agenda. We did have a couple. Let me pull up my phone here. Did anybody else have anything that needed to be added to the agenda? All right. Under the reopening plan, we need to discuss the new town administrator's office space. And under new business, number 2, I would like to add a discussion about the Tax Stabilization Committee, please. And under unfinished business, I would like to discuss the current lawn care contract, please. Is there any objection to those items?
So moved.
Did I get a second? Moved and seconded by Mr. Root. All those in favor, please say aye. Oh, we're going to have to do roll call. I'm sorry. Jean.
Aye.
Michael. Michael is an aye. Michael is in the town office, and because we are having an issue with the microphones, I will try and relay information so that we are not echoing back and forth. Jeff, please. Jeff has stepped away. Sandy, please. Sandy, you're muted.
Aye.
All right. Opposed, I see none. So, and Jeff is coming back. So next we have the chair's remarks. So I am going to, effective on the 30th of June, I will be resigning from the select board. I will be moving from the area, and that comes with a lot of excitement and a lot of stress and a lot of big feelings that surround that as well. But Vernon has been home for me for a long time. I have enjoyed my time on the select board. I think that this current select board has done a lot of great things. We've made a lot of progress. We've really been able to come together and hear from people and really look at the wide range of people that are in town and address a lot of the concerns and needs and desires that people have. I think that there's been a calming sense that came with this current board, and we were able to really work together with the department heads in town as well as the other boards and committees. And it has been a trying year, given that it's been COVID on top of everything else, and there's been a lot of ups and downs, and we've really seen the best in Vernon. We have tremendous employees here, from our town clerk and treasurer to David Emery at the EOC, who has stepped up with Mark Snow on and almost, twice a month, they've been updating us on what's going on. The rec department has had an incredible amount of challenges and ups and downs, and they've found a way to navigate through that to make sure that our kids in town have had everything that they needed. The school has had a trying year, and the highway department has had to adjust the way that they've done everything, and everybody has done just a great job. Jean in the library has essentially had to stop everything that she was doing and reevaluate and find ways to navigate so that she could still service the people of this community. And I don't think that we could have collectively done a better job than what this town put forward during these circumstances. And I'm extremely proud of what we've done. I'm a little bit sad that I'm leaving, but at the same time, I'm excited about it. I'm going to be moving to North Carolina. I'm going to be moving with my children down there, and I'm excited. This is a big move, but This is going to be great, and I wish nothing but the best for Vernon. I really hope that the select board, in nominating the replacement, that they continue to find somebody that wants to hear the residents instead of push their own agendas, and that we continue to listen to everybody, and that you continue to move forward with what's best for Vernon and not just a collective group of people. So there's that. With that, I'm going to ask for any open public comments on items that are not on the agenda, please. Seeing none. I'm going to trade chairs with Mr. Chief Emery, who is joining us at the town office. He's going to give us our, hopefully getting down to almost our final COVID update. And we also have Mark Snow joining us, and I'm going to give it over to Dave.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry that we got a little bit confused here, but it'll all work well by the time we're done. Bringing you up to date on COVID, I will share with you that before I do that, it's been a pleasure and an honor to have worked with you. I think that you have been good for the town of Vernon. I know that there's been some pretty tough decisions that I certainly wouldn't have been a part of the select board. So I will tell you that I think that our loss is North Carolina's gain. So, but don't get into the selecting down. So, so let me go with the COVID stuff. As you know, it's all good news. The good news is, as of yesterday, 15 months after we've been playing with the pandemic, things have changed drastically. As of yesterday, there's 80% of the eligible Vermonters have received at least one of their COVID vaccines. And the governor said once that happened, he would release and start changing things. And he declared on Monday that all restrictions are lifted. There are some exceptions that we'll talk about. So they are lifted, which allows groups to participate. It doesn't hold restrictions anymore. It should bring back some normalcy to whatever state regulations, federal regulations were out there prior to the pandemic. The thing that is a little bit tough is CDC is still saying people that have not been vaccinated, and the state is encouraging unvaccinated Vermonters to continue wearing masks and practicing social distancing. And unfortunately, those words are hard to swallow because encouraging and requiring are two different things. So let's hope that as the next few days go on, more and more people will be vaccinated. The state is looking at, or the feds are looking at adding the age group down to 5 to be eligible for vaccinations, and that should be coming out with recommendations pretty soon. As of midnight tonight, the 15th of June, the governor is releasing the state of emergency, and I would recommend to the board that we follow suit and that we no longer hold Vernon's state of emergency as of midnight tonight. Vermont is one of the highest, or not one, is the highest vaccination rates in the nation. That's certainly something to be proud of. However, we can't let our guard down, folks. Even though we're at 80%, we're not out of it. It's not over, but it is manageable. COVID's still there. I think for years to come, we're going to see recommendations from the CDC and the state on vaccines and or boosters or however that's going to take place. So it's not like it just went away yesterday. It didn't. It's still there and it'll continue to be there. But vaccinations are proven that they're working. So as far as today, there's 8 new cases today, 1 in the hospital and no one in ICU. Vermont did add another death, so we're at 256 for the whole thing. But there are some things that I should say, and it's important that everyone, after 15 long months, that there's been a lot of people that have done a lot of work here. And some of them, and I hesitate to name them because I always miss people. So, you know, Mark Snow, the Vernon health officer, has been right on top of things with me, and I appreciate that. The Vernon Emergency Management Group, we gathered once, and then it was all done by emails. And Vernon Fire, the first responders, they have not let up. They have been right there. The Vernon Town employees, essential people. And there's I have a special thanks to the Selectboard, because even though you have that political era, or what do they call it? Here. This wasn't political. You kept it with the healthcare sciences, and I certainly appreciate that. But most of all, it's a testament to Vernon residents and state residents for those that put faith and trust in the system and got out and got vaccinations, stayed home, washed their hands, and did things that were not at all in the norm. Some of those things, I hope they stay as part of the norm. I think some of us are even better for, a lot of us got more stuff done at home than we would have. So with that, my suggestion for continuing meetings, I will offer, I'm not sure that Mark and I need to attend every single meeting. We will, however, we're not going away. We're still going to be deeply involved with the state and the feds and the CDC. And maybe what we could do is report as we see needed, or if you want a monthly, nothing's changed. I don't know. I'll leave that open, but before that, I'll turn it over to Mark Snow. I saw him. Yep, there he is right there. So I'll get you have it, Mark.
Thank you, Dave. Mr. Chair, thank you for your service, and I wish you the best in your next adventure. And you've certainly put your heart and soul into the town of Vernon. So it's much appreciated. Thank you. In addition to what Dave said, I'd like to express my appreciation and thanks to everyone, because everybody had a part in this. Nobody was left out, and everybody stood up and did their part and did what was needed. And as a result, 15 months later, here we are. The numbers have reduced. The state of emergency is being lifted, and we are returning to somewhat of a normal life as we previously knew it. So I agree with Dave. We can't let our guards down. We need to stay alert of our surroundings and just take precautions in everyday life. But again, I'd like to thank everyone for their cooperation and willingness to do their part.
Great. Any questions for Chief Emery or Mr. Snow? Seeing none, it would be my suggestion that we ask Dave or Mark to update the interim town administrator, or at the time that there is a new hire for a town administrator, of any changes or needs to present to the board. And at that point, we could put them on the agenda. Is there any objection from the select board on that?
No.
Perfect. So you guys are off the hook moving forward, unless you need to give us some information. Thank you both very much for what you have done to keep us informed and remind us to wash our hands and wear a mask. I think that we are all sick of hearing that. And but the updates have certainly been appreciated, and you guys have gone above and beyond to make sure that, I mean, we could have pretty much put you on the board. You were here just as much as we were. Yeah. And with that, I would like to make a motion that effective at midnight this evening, we lift the state of emergency for the town of Vernon.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Sorry, Sandy, but Mr. Root beat you to that one.
All right, Michael.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye. Sandy?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And Chris is an aye. That feels good to get that out of here. All right. And I'm a little remiss. I did not say under my chair's remarks, I would like to congratulate Tim Alexander. He is a new firefighter with the town of Vernon, and he stepped up and he finished his firefighter 1 over the weekend. He is now a certified firefighter, and we are extremely lucky to have him in town. I see that they're already trying to get him to go through his EMT classes now. Maybe we should give him a couple of months off, but he has really stepped up, and you guys will see him filling pools throughout town and training. And I don't think he's missed very many calls, if any. And the town of Vernon is extremely lucky that he decided to join that team down there. So thank you, Tim. Next, we want to discuss the reopening plan for the town hall and other town operations. And Wendy, who would you like to take charge of this discussion?
I can start it, and Tim can join in, and David Emery can join in. Seth is here also, so any of the department heads, and Cindy may want to join in also.
Okay.
But I can give a brief overview if you like.
Please.
Okay, so we have an interim plan, and this was developed in the past couple of weeks with the department heads prior to when we knew, obviously, that the emergency order would be lifted. We proposed that it be effective tomorrow, June 16th, and that it go through July 7th. I'm sorry, July 5th, which is when the town clerk would return from vacation. The way it would work, the town hall offices would be accessible to anyone. The front door would be locked, but you wouldn't need to make an appointment to come in except for land records research. But you could come to the front door, press a buzzer for either the library or town clerk. Someone would let you in. You would be able to do the normal services at the town clerk window. If you wanted to go to the lister's office, the town clerk or the assistant town clerk would escort you there. The treasurer's office would have different hours. They would be open to the public Tuesday and Thursday mornings from 7 to 11 a.m. by appointment. We would publish the phone number and the email number of the treasurer so that people could set up appointments, and they would greet people on the side door on the other side, on the Route 142 side of the building. If business is conducted at the door, you would wear a mask and socially distanced by the 6 foot limit. And they would be available by telephone or email to answer questions. And the listers, as I said, are available to meet with folks at any time in the office, and then the town clerk would provide that access. There's a grievance hearing that will be held at the gazebo, so there will be some outdoor activities. Let me just talk about the town bus, and then if Jean wants to talk about library and Seth wants to talk about recreation, I think that would be helpful. The town bus wants to resume operations, and I understand that there's a bus committee. So I would suggest that the select board ask the bus committee to weigh in on this, and that the bus committee consider operating by federal transportation regulations, even though it's not technically subject to it. I just think it would be good for liability reasons and just for the rider's sense of safety, which would require masks. It currently would require masks unless that changes. but not 6-foot distancing. So, or Tim, do you want to add anything to the town clerk and then send it to Seth and Jean?
Well, I just wanted to say that, just again, I am going to be on a prearranged vacation between the 24th and coming back on the Tuesday after the 4th of July. And it made sense to not make any major changes in the interim plan until I came back, as my assistant is only around for 20 hours a week. And just wanted to make sure that we kept things on even keel. Land researchers have worked out much better in keeping them by appointment, as we don't get overrun at a time of rapid real estate transactions, and we can secondly give them the kind of attention that they deserve, since they're representatives of our own citizens.
And so then would you like Jean to talk about the library?
Yes, yep.
I'm not going to be able to really change anything this week because I'm here alone. But hopefully next week, our plan at this phase was for opening for appointments on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. I'm down a staff member, so I have to do hiring, which I hadn't done because I couldn't really say when they would be able to work. So I need to get more staff on board before we really go to full hours. But the trustees have approved this plan to open the 2 afternoons by appointment, and we'll continue curbside service for people who want to continue with that. And that's where we'll go next. We would like to require masks. Hand sanitizer will be outside the door for people to use when they come in, and we'll take it from there.
Seth, you're up.
All right. Well, we're getting ready to open up for the summer. The pool is scheduled to open Saturday, this Saturday, the 19th. As far as the pool goes, there really won't be much that will look very different from what I would call normal years. The exception being that the showers will not be available in the bathhouse, just because that's kind of an area that people are going to congregate close together. Generally, it's a spot where kids like to warm up. And being that 12 and under is unvaccinated, we felt as though that's not a spot where we want to advertise for them to congregate. So we're going to eliminate that. But the bathrooms will be open, the pool will be open as we normally would. We are currently registering for archery, tennis, diving lessons, sports camps. And those will look very similar to the way that they have in the past. Day camp numbers have been really, really strong in registration. We will be recommending, I'm going to speak, make sure I use the correct term there. We will not be requiring, we will be recommending that day campers wear masks, as that is the current recommendation from the Vermont Department of Health. Because we are recommending that, I'm going to have my staff wear them because I feel like we are in it together. And if it's 90 degrees out and we're recommending that the kids need to wear them because they're unvaccinated, then we will follow suit. And if I'm asking my day camp staff to wear masks, then I will ask my other staff members to wear masks, again, because we are all in it together. And I don't feel that it's appropriate for a segment to wear them and not others. That's just how we are starting off the summer. That's our plan for now, subject to change. And I would anticipate changes based on the Department of Health and how that shakes out. So that's just kind of where we're at this time.
Great. And Cindy, did you have anything to add? Did you say anything? I can't see your mouth either. You are muted.
Muted. Now am I
There
muted?
you are.
There I am. Okay. No, I think mine's pretty self-explanatory. I tried to make it as easy to read as possible, and I think I feel comfortable with that plan to start off with. So I have nothing more to add to that.
Okay, great. Sandy, do we need a motion? What do we need here?
Well, I'll make a motion that we accept the reopening plans as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Mr. Dunkley. All those in favor, please say aye. Jean,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Sandy,
Aye.
Chris is an aye. All right, guys, thank you so much for working on this. I know it's been going on for a while, and I think everybody's somewhat eager to get back to this. I know, Seth, you've been waiting, man, to have some normalcy there, and I know that the kids appreciate it. And I know the residents will be happy to finally be able to access their building, even if it is slowly moving forward. But we appreciate the employees' willingness to work within these restrictions and to move forward and do it safely so that everybody can have access to their town back. So thank you. Next, we would be looking for approval of minutes from June 1st, June 7th, and the special meeting on June 7th and the special meeting on June 11th.
Mr. Chair. Oops.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Jean. Go ahead, Jean.
I move that we accept the regular meeting minutes for Tuesday, June 1st, and the special meeting minutes for Monday, June 7th, as written.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Ms. Harris to accept the regular meeting minutes of June 1st and the special meeting on June 7th. All those in favor say aye. Michael?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye on June 1st. I abstain on June 7th.
Thank you. Sandy?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Chris is an aye. And how about the special meeting on June 11th?
Oh, I don't have those.
We just got him today.
Okay.
We'll table that until the next meeting, please.
Okay.
Treasurer's report, bills and warrants, please.
All righty. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve payment of the following warrant. 24T accounts payable, $25,316.08. 22S payroll, $7,869.86. And 23S payroll, $8,128.02.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Ms. Harris. All those in favor, please say aye. Michael? Jeff?
Aye.
Sandy?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Chris is an aye. Cindy, if you are in the building, it was my mistake. Again, I thought we were meeting in person this evening. I can either run up, or if you would bring those down, I would sign them quickly for you for that third signature if you have not received one.
Sandy, did you sign?
I did not.
Okay, and I don't believe Jeff did either.
Okay, so I am in the building and I can sign those for you to get that third signature.
Okay, after I get done meeting with you, I'll run them down.
Thank you so much. I apologize for the confusion. And next we have the reinvestment of a bond. We are joined by Mr. Christiansen from Edward Jones. And Cindy is also here should there be any questions about that. Mr. Christiansen, go ahead, sir.
Very good. So the recommended action for tonight is to reinvest the $100,000 Verizon Communications bond that matured on 5/28/21. The bond was a BBB rated corporate bond. The interest received from that bond was entered into the general fund. I've had discussion with Cindy, and she recommended that we reinvest the $100,000 as it is not necessary to have in the general fund at this point. And once again, I found a Federal Farm Credit Bank bond. It is AA plus rated. It has a coupon rate of 3.46 and it's an 18-year bond. This bond is non-callable, which means that it runs the entire life of the bond. The bank cannot call it early. And the investment is in accordance with the town's investment policy. Just to recap, this is a bond that they're all different bonds, but they are issued by the Federal Farm Credit Bank. And a brief description of what that is for those who may be listening in. The Federal Farm Credit Banks are part of the Farm Credit System. It's a cooperatively owned nationwide system of banks and associations that provide services to farmers, ranchers, and producers or harvesters of aquatic products, rural homeowners, agricultural, and rural cooperatives. The income from this bond pays interest twice a year. It is marketable. In other words, the town can sell it at any point. We don't have to hold on to it for the full 18 years. And with that, I would entertain a motion to reinvest $100,000 into this bond.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Mr. Dunkley. Cindy, thumbs up. We're good with that?
Yes, I'm good with that.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye. Michael?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Sandy?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Chris is an aye. Gordy, thank you for joining us tonight.
You're welcome.
Next time I see all those pictures from Myrtle Beach, you could maybe invite your select board. We'd be happy to join you.
We could have a meeting down there. That would be fine.
All right, perfect.
Just as a last note, there is one more bond. There's another bond that will mature next month on July 26th. So I'll see you folks the first week in August. All right.
Great. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
All right. We have some current budget update, and Cindy is still joining us. And then we have a request for some carryovers for fiscal year 22. Cindy, go ahead, please.
Do you have any questions about the budget status sheets that I provided?
Everybody on the board.
I want to thank you for them.
You're welcome. It'd probably be the easiest if you've looked at them, if you have any questions about any line items or anything.
Well, I did wonder why they don't show if you couldn't show the income. Like
That would be I can't show it on the budget status report. That would be a separate report. It'd be a revenue report.
All right, thanks.
I mean, I certainly could provide it. I mean, I could write it on so you would know what revenues come in.
That would be great, because when we see somebody's overspent, I know perfectly well they brought in money.
Right.
So that would.
Right, and definitely a good example of that is the town clerk budget, because he has brought money in. Also, there's a couple of grants that you're seeing the expense, but you're not seeing the income.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cindy, we have been asked specifically from the fire department to carry over some funds, and it seems like there was a little reservation on that. Is there a reason that we should be hesitant to do that? It's my thought that, they're trying to be fiscally responsible, and we're in the process of rebuilding a fire department. So if there is still some funds that are there that we can carry over to help them get the things that they need so that they don't have to ask for so much next year, that would be ideal.
My two thoughts on that was, the first one was their budget already is higher next year than it was this year. Mm-hmm. They've already increased their budget. The second thing is you also have to look at the total bottom line of the whole budget, and you can't take into account the highway department's money, because that is statutorily, that has to be carried over into the highway department. So you can't take that into account when you're looking at the bottom line. So I know Seth was concerned because he's brought in less income this year. And I'm concerned if we just take any, the leftover money and we carry it over, I don't know what our bottom line is going to look like.
When would we know that? I mean, we're 2 weeks from the end of the fiscal year. When would that be a realistic goal for us to have?
We're going to have one more warrant, 8 accounts payable, that I will do as of June 30th. And we also have two more payrolls. And I know for a fact, like just as an example, they've got the trees marked outside to cut down. And if that happens in June, that goes in this budget. So that's an expense we weren't expecting. So I would definitely be able to tell you after once we get to the end of the month, I have a better idea. We'd still have bills coming in after that would also be applied. And, if you purchase something or something happens in this fiscal year, it has to go into that fiscal year. So I'm just asking that we're also carrying over $36,900 that we already just decided to carry over.
Yep.
To make what we needed to raise less. So I'm just concerned. I don't want to say, yes, let's do it. And then find out we can't do it.
Right. No, and I appreciate that. I'm just curious. I mean, is there a ballpark idea? Is there some way that we could say that, the fire department's asked to roll this much money and maybe that total amount isn't doable, but we're comfortable with this amount? And yes, the fire department's budget went up, but those were all explained increases, which were voted on and approved by the taxpayers. So they're trying to things like the fire pond maintenance that has not, we're trying to rebuild things that had been let go for so long. So they're trying to utilize funds that have already been appropriated so that next year they don't have to increase their budget again to continue to improve their department.
Alex did mention the fire pond line item, and that we have carried over before, and I don't have a problem with that. I just have a problem with carrying so much money over when we don't. I want to be able to have a better idea of the bottom line before we give them permission. Could we wait until I get those other warrants done? I mean, you don't have to make a decision tonight.
So in order to be able to roll those funds, when does that decision have to be made?
Well, people have it until actual June 30th to ask to roll over money. So you could make it at the first meeting in July.
And we are aware that now with my resignation and another board member that will not be around due to vacation the beginning of July, there's potential that there may not be a quorum at that first meeting. Would that be something that could be moved to the last meeting in July, or have we missed the mark at that point?
We haven't, the select board hasn't missed the mark. It would be the people requesting it. They have to request it by June 30th.
Right. So as long as, Alex has already put his request in, if we get the information from you, and so could the select board make a vote at that second meeting in July?
Yes.
And then that money would still be safe and we could roll it and life would be good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the longer we wait until all the bills come in from June and have a more accurate idea of what is left, we should wait.
That's what I feel.
Because we won't know until we know.
Right. And I agree with that. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't once July 1st comes that
it's too late.
Yeah. No, so I wanted to make sure if there was some funds there that the fire department and whoever else needed it had access to that so that we weren't kind of cutting ourselves short for next year.
Yeah. I'd say, they got to get their request in to June 30th, but there's no promises that they're going to get it in July. So probably better to not spend money that you don't know that they're going to get or keep.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. Cindy, the email that Alex sent out, that counts as his request, right?
Yes,
he won't have to redo one at the end of the month?
No, that counts as his request. Because I know he sent it to you. I don't know if he sent it to the rest of the board. But
I know, Wendy, you received that as well, correct? Would you forward that to the rest of the board, please? I'm not sure if it did go around or not. Thank you. All right. Any other questions or thoughts on carryovers or any other requests for carryovers? All right. Seeing none. Cindy, did you have any other budget? Oh, I think we're on to the American Rescue Plan. Are you sticking around for that as well?
Yes. Wendy asked me to stick around for that because I'm going to be taking the training or whatever it is tomorrow at 11.
Okay, great. So Wendy, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. So this is an update of the American Rescue Plan funding, which is similar to, or it's the same amount of funding that you've been told about before. There's two tranches of the first section. The town is going to receive two disbursements of $114,947 for a total of $229,894. And that's the first, sorry about that, it's gonna ring. That's the first funding that will come. And Cindy, that's what you need to register the town for on the portal.
Right.
So Cindy has that under control. And then the remainder of the funding, which is double, it should be double the amount of the first amount of funding, that will come later, as long as the federal government interprets Vermont's request to send the county money to the municipalities as Vermont expects it to do. Because county governments are not strong here as they are in other places. So it just doesn't make sense to send that kind of funding to the counties. The four areas where the money can be spent are the same as I updated the board previously. I can go over them if you like. And what's also important, the deadlines are important. The funding is to be spent by December 31, 2024. There's an interim rule that allows the money to be obligated by 2024 as long as it's spent through 2026. So the takeaway from that is there's plenty of time. You don't need to rush. They do recommend that this be a slow, deliberative process with a lot of community involvement, because the funding is intended for the community at large, and it will be a better result the more people who are involved in it.
Cindy, anything to add to that?
I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be having that training or tomorrow, so I'll know more about it then. Wendy and I talked about what she's just talked about, and she's going to be doing the same seminar as well.
Okay.
So between the two of us, we should be able to get things going.
Okay. Questions, comments, concerns from the board? Seeing none. I do need to back up to the reopening plan for the town hall. There was a brief discussion about the town administrator's office and moving that into, I believe, what was the, well, Cindy, I think you're using that space for storage right now.
Yes, that's correct.
And we would like to turn that into the town administrator's office. And is there any reasons that we could not or should not do that?
Where am I going to put my stuff that's in storage?
Well, that would open up the other town administrator's office. And what is it that's being stored in there? And is there?
There are records. There's tax bills that, because we oftentimes will have people call and they'll need a number of years of tax bills. We have them in there. We have accounts payable in there. We have payroll in there for a certain number of years. Some of it's downstairs, but there's not a lot of room downstairs. And downstairs isn't as accessible to me. If I need to go in and get, somebody's calling me for something and I need to go get it, then it is to have it here. There's a lot of stuff in there. I don't know if you've been in there.
No,
we also have the server is in there.
I'm sorry, the what?
The server for the computers.
Okay.
Is in there. There's some lister files in there, which I can't tell you what those are, but there are some there's some filing cabinets for listers in there. So
everything that's in there, is that still within the requirement of us holding on to, or is it time to go through some of that stuff and some of it is no longer needed to be stored?
No, the stuff, if anything needs to be going through, it'd be the stuff downstairs that's being stored, that's older.
Okay, so that would free up
A
some
few
space
years,
for
a
some of
few
that.
years back, when Ina Lindquist was still here, she went through and scanned a lot of that stuff and then they took it down and put it downstairs. But that's going to be a large project.
Okay.
Chris, there's also all the past delinquent
Yes,
tax records are in there as well.
that's correct.
Okay. Is there any concern with those being stored in a place that is not overly secure? It's not protected from fire, water, or any of that stuff? Is that not a concern about those files?
There's just no place to put them. We've got them in there. Some of my filing cabinets that I have are fireproof.
So by rights, we could move that into what is now currently the town administrator's office, correct?
You could, but office is a lot smaller.
Right. And I mean, that's kind of the reasoning behind this is that the town administrator's office doesn't have a window. It's really not a private space with the town clerk being right there. It's open. So, I mean, it does make sense to have a town administrator have a more private office that is also more inviting than a closed box, which would make more sense to have records be stored in a place like that.
I don't know I don't know if everything will fit in there.
So if that means that we need, if that means that we need to go through the outdated stuff that's in the basement to free up space, then we've got to go through the stuff in the basement and free up space.
And who are we going to have do that?
Well, those are your records.
I know, but I have a 40-hour a week job and my assistant's 20 hours a week.
Okay.
I mean, that's something it would have to be at a time of the year when we're not, having fiscal year close, payroll year close, taxes going out, taxes coming in. I mean, because we are busy in here.
And nobody's disputing that. But we also need a location and
they had talked about in the capital plan making a new records room.
Yep.
And I don't know what's going on with that.
I think it got taken out because it was said it wasn't needed.
Well, I don't think we realized that, this was going to come up because that room that the town administrator's in now has been an office. It was Sandy's office when she was town clerk. So I think they didn't think that it was going to be an issue.
So why did you save all the records that you scanned?
I wasn't the treasurer at the time, and the treasurer at the time wanted to keep them. She preferred to have the hard copies. And I didn't question that because she was the treasurer, so.
Right. That's usually the point of scanning and have an electronic record as you get rid of the other.
And then we would we could have those those people that come and sit in your parking lot and shred. That we had them come one time to shred some old stuff. I mean, we could have a shredding party.
Yeah.
But I'd have to go on and see exactly what we've got scanned. Then we'd have, it's tons of stuff. And Ina did that. Ina.
Yeah.
That.
So if we went with this, what would a realistic time frame be that we could have that office space back?
I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I just can't make a snap thought on that right now. Because it's a lot. It is going to be a lot of work.
And I'm not trying to upset. Was that space approved for the storage of those records?
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
As far as I know, it was. It's always been, since I've been here, that's been the record space for the listers and the treasurer's office. And at one time, that actually was the treasurer's office many, many moons ago. And the select board met up here, and then the select board went downstairs. They moved us in here, and we used that for storage.
Would you think that August 1st would be a time that could be done by?
All of the stuff moved? No, absolutely not. That is a lot of work, Chris. It's going to take time, and we're going to have to be able to fit it in when we're having a slow time. We're going to have, we're not going to, I can't just go downstairs and spend 40 hours in a week doing that because I have other work to do.
In August, Cindy would be getting tax bills ready to go out because the first payment's due September.
Right. And there's also an assistant that works here too. I mean, somehow there's got to be a little give and take so that we can all come to something that makes sense and works for everybody here. Yeah.
I would like to have time to think about it a little bit because I just feel like you're springing it on me, and I have to kind of wrap my head around it and see what I can try to figure out that'll work. So I don't think that's an unreasonable request.
And when do you think that would you would be able to have an answer for that?
I suppose you want it before you leave.
No, I'm just asking you.
Oh, I'm just asking if you wanted to know.
Push in the rush to do this.
That the office it's not an office that is being used. When Sandy was in there, it was opened up to the clerks, to that entire space. Now this is a town administrator's office that needs privacy. It needs, it's just not so it makes more sense that space would be utilized as storage. It's a closet by all intensive purposes. I mean, the janitor's closet has more light coming into that than the treasurer's office. Can we put her in the
janitor's closet?
I get that. But we've had 2-3 town administrators in there. Four. And now all of a sudden, I'm not saying no, I'm just saying now it seems like all of a sudden it's a major catastrophe.
Nope, I don't think anybody's making it a major catastrophe. We're asking when that could be accomplished.
Why don't you? This wasn't brought up when the first town administrator was hired.
I don't see why it matters when it was brought up. We're bringing it up now.
Okay.
I'm just asking when we could maybe have an answer on when this could be done. I don't think this is the.
Can I please have 2 weeks?
Sure.
And I will try to figure out how I'm going to do this. And I may have to, I may have to figure out, I may have to come in on a weekend and work on it or something, because I got to be able to, I have certain jobs I have to do that have to be done, and I can't put those aside. Let me think about it and come up with a plan. And then
That's fine. I was just asking how much time you needed for that. Nobody's trying to make a big deal out of this. I'm just trying to figure out what it is that's needed to be able to get the answer that's being asked.
Okay. I would at least give me 2 weeks.
Yes, please, Sandy.
I think if we're asking her to do this, we should also supply some muscle power, either authorize her to hire bolsters so she stands and she says, you take that box and you put it here, and you take that box and you put it there. And so she just directs it. She shouldn't have to pick up those boxes. They're heavy.
I'm fine with that. That's all I'm looking for is what we would need to do to accomplish this task, and if it's realistic, and how we could get to that. That was all I'm looking for here.
I'm just going to ask you to give me 2 weeks, and I will come up with something.
Would that be helpful if there was an authorization for a moving company to come in and help with that, and to have the shredder come and help as well?
Well, I definitely think if we're going to get rid of the old files, they need to be shredded. And the shredder I have would be dead in like half a day.
Yeah. And would having a moving company or some muscle power, as Sandy put it, would that be helpful for that as well?
Probably. We can see what is out there. I mean, okay. I might be able to even find some people that would be willing to come in and help out moving.
Okay.
So let me think it through and I'll have I'll be coming back to the first meeting in July.
Okay, great. Thank you. Perfect. Now we are on to unfinished business. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, the town admin report is in there. Do you want to go with that now, Wendy?
Chris?
Yeah.
I'm going to sign off and bring those down to you.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right.
Sure, I'll be quick, and I need to apologize for the miscommunication about the meeting today. So just some reminders. Father's Day Sunday, there will be a parade at Vernon Green. As you know, it's all permitted, pretty minimal impact on 142. I attended the handicap meeting last night, and they're expecting to resume in-person meetings soon. They'd like a remote option. Vernon Town Hall was discussed as a potential location. Maddie Arms is going to follow up with the board, and I let them know I'm available to help as they need, because there will be technology needs. Been working a lot on building issues, as you know, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. Wanted to remind the board about the FERC relicensing of the dams. The comment period is going to be ending in a couple of months. And that's a once in 40 years opportunity to tell the federal government what Vernon thinks it is owed, really, by the dams who are using a public resource to generate power. The Planning Commission is discussing it, so they'll have some recommendations. Talked to Seth today just briefly about making some recommendations on recreation improvements. You could certainly use more access to the river, direct access, boat ramps. And I think you might want to involve the Farmland Protection Committee, because erosion is a serious concern. And so if they're available to look at the issue and chime in, I think that would be very effective. And then just regarding the lifting of the emergency order, feels great. I just want to say thanks to staff for your resilience. Thanks to the residents for your patience. And it's really nice to be working on reopening plans instead of closing plans. So that is what I have.
All right.
I have something on the NCAP thing. We used to use the Vernon School.
Yeah, they mentioned that they thought they wouldn't be able to use schools because of the restrictions on schools hosting outside groups. There's no big rush on this. I think the next meeting is in September, but they did discuss the schools or the school.
Any other questions, concerns, thoughts, any of that? I'm really just stalling while I sign these warrants.
Do we need to take action on the Windham County Sheriff's Law Enforcement Amendment?
That's next on unfinished business.
Okay.
And yeah.
And Wendy, if you are all set, I will move on to the Windham County Sheriff Amendment. Actually, we can skip that and bring up number 2. Seth has sat here patiently. Let's get into job descriptions, and then we'll jump into the Sheriff's Department, please.
Do you want this executive?
That's up to you.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Please.
Mr. Chair, I move that the board and administrator go into executive session with a recreation director on the appointment, employment, or evaluation of a public officer employee per 1 VSA 3133A3.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Ms. Carr. All those in favor say aye. Michael?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Sandy?
Aye.
And Chris is an aye. We went into executive session at 7:32, came out at 8:30. No action was taken. Seth, thank you for joining us. Always a pleasure. And we'll be in touch, sir.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right, I just texted him. I don't know if,
Does anybody have any discussion on the Sheriff's Department amendments to the contract? If not, I would take a motion to accept.
So moved.
Moved and seconded by Mr. Root. All those in favor, please say aye. Jean?
Aye.
Sandy,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Jeff, and Chris is an aye, and we will have to mark Jeff as absent on that vote.
Oh,
That takes care of that. Have you heard from Mr. Grimes?
no, you could just quickly do the landscape contractor one.
Okay, so I had sent an email out that, we're very early into a new contract with landscaping services. Weed whacking is not being done, and I think that at this point, we need to notify the company that we are not happy. We need to direct them with what it is that we are looking for, give them exactly one chance to fix that, because this should not be happening. I feel like that job description was pretty spelled out because of the problems that we had previously, and things are still not happening. So if we are not going to get a handle on this, then I think that we need to move and find somebody else that is going to do this appropriately. So I would be looking for a direction to have a letter sent to that company stating our displeasure, as well as what we would like to see differently, and maybe some language in there that if that does not happen, that they are not following through with their contract, and we would move to terminate.
So moved.
I second it if the lawyer reviews it.
I'm sorry, with the lawyer, what? Okay, Michael is seconding, yep, that word, as long as the lawyer reviews the legality of sending that letter. Sandy, would you still make that motion?
Yes, sir.
All right, moved and seconded. All those in favor, Jean?
Aye.
Sandy?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And Chris is an aye. And I see that Marty is back, so I'm going to let him in, and we will move on to town office update, telephone, smoke detectors, air conditioning. Sir, we apologize that we kept you waiting for so long, but thank you for sticking it out with us. And I believe you've got some information on this, and I'm going to have Wendy kind of segue into that, and then we will turn it over to you. Wendy, please.
You're muted.
I was muted. Yep. Thank you. The phone system is very old. Marty can give you an update of its history. In the last couple of weeks, it started being very difficult, where people would not be able to hear each other, which is the basic purpose of a phone. When we started investigating how we'd fix it, it basically it needs to be replaced. I discussed this with Marty and got a quote from Consolidated. Also got copies of our Comcast contracts. And the bottom line is we can save $100 a month and have new phones and new service, phone service and internet service. And it can be done as quickly as the select board wants it to. I double checked with Cindy that you can proceed with this and waive any bidding requirements, and she confirmed that. So the select board can proceed. I hope you had a chance to look at the quote. And again, I'm sorry all this is coming at you just before the meeting, but things are moving quickly. Marty's here to speak to Consolidated, and I really appreciate him waiting and coming back onto the meeting.
Marty, are you with us?
Yes, sir. It appears so.
All right, perfect.
Okay, so
go ahead, sir.
No, sir. Basically, what Wendy said is correct. I have been down numerous times over the past 10 years to mostly work with Tim and help you through some different problems. The phone system is approximately about 20 to 25 years old. Last year, right at the start of the lockdown, The entire control unit failed. In order to save the town money, I gave Tim the name of a remanufacturing company, and he was able to purchase a replacement control unit, which I programmed. Wendy contacted me several weeks ago about the situation with the phones. The phones are basically at the point where, they're going to fail any day, and it doesn't make any sense to put any more money into a system that's 25 years old. I had given Miss Carr a quote last fall for a more traditional replacement digital phone system. It would be hardware that you would buy, but you still have your ongoing monthly expenses with Comcast. I did review the Comcast bills that Wendy provided me, and considering the fact that you've had the Comcast service for a while, like anything else, it looks like you have price creep. So Comcast, like most of these huge companies, as you all well know, if you don't call them and complain, they're just going to keep charging you through the roof. So I currently maintain the entire town of Brattleboro's phone system, but obviously being on a bigger scale, that's more of a hardware solution. I know the town of Putney. I had conversations with Karen, the town manager, and with Chief Goddard last year about this, and the town of Putney has made the decision to go with this bundled service from Consolidated. Basically, you're going to be reducing your overall monthly cost, and you are going to be provided up-to-date IP telephones. It's referred to as hosted PBX. So there is no hardware on site with the exception of the physical phones. And then it's upgradable. One of the things they offer, and Wendy and I discussed this, is since it is a IP-based system, they can offer features like apps on cell phones that can actually link an employee with the virtual phone system, which allows somebody to be off-site and still access phone system functions. It's real beneficial in remote working applications, and it would also give you direct dial to any of the highway garage. So they would all be on the same system. You could just pick up the phone and intercom over to the garage. There's all kinds of options out there, including secondary vendor cloud-based solutions, but you still need a service provider. So then you're still paying somebody like Comcast for internet. Then you have to pay this other company for these services on a monthly basis. All of that being considered, especially since time is a little short, I just recommended that Wendy reach out to Regina Spillane, who has been with Consolidated through all their different names over the years, and she's basically the ace when it comes to towns and schools. That's pretty much it. The town needs to do something. Like I mentioned to Wendy and Tim, if the phone system was to die tomorrow, I could get down there and patch it up in a limited fashion. And, replacement parts for the existing system are all available. I think Tim spent close to $400 for the control unit last year, plus about $200 for my time. So that's kind of the phone situation in a nutshell, folks.
questions from the board?
I don't have any questions, but I think we ought to do something soon. If we got the money, let's go ahead and do what we got to do.
Yeah.
And there's no outlay because it's just a service contract. There's no equipment to buy. That's part of the program. You would actually spend less. So it's within budget because it's less than you're currently spending.
My question is, if we get rid of the Xfinity stuff at the town offices, it raise the prices of the Xfinity we're using at other offices?
It shouldn't, but Marty, do you know the answer to that?
Well, I think the idea was to go with Consolidated for a unified solution and to use them for both your phone and your internet service at all locations. And that way you have one bill. Consolidated does have fiber optic right outside on the street, right outside of the town office. I just upgraded the PBX at Vernon Green, and they are considering switching over to the Consolidated fiber services as well. It seems like I do a lot of work with Consolidated, First Light, formerly known as Sovereignnet, and Comcast. First Light used to be a really good, reliable local company where I've had a lot of contacts. They have since been bought by a conglomerate. They have fewer and fewer people actually in Vermont. 2 cases in point. There was a records mistake. It took numerous phone calls and a week to get one of the emergency lines at the Brattleboro Police fixed. And the town of Dummerston had a simple problem with their main line from First Light. And that also took numerous phone calls, visits from me to get First Light to fix that problem. Comcast is becoming also extremely harder and more difficult to deal with. Consolidated, which used to be Fairpoint and Verizon, and we all know their names all the way back to good old Mall Bell, New England Telephone. They seem to be making a pretty major commitment to the area. Their goal is to get fiber everywhere to every house in the next couple of years. So I think that if you decide to go with Consolidated, and I get no monetary, this is just all as a courtesy what I'm doing. I don't get any kind of benefit or any kind of residuals from Consolidated. But knowing the town like I do and the local businesses like I do, I just think that the full package from Consolidated for the town of Vernon makes the most sense, especially if you can enter into a relatively short-term deal. How long was the contract on that, Wendy?
It's 3 years.
Yeah, it's pretty typical. You're basically, you're playing against obsolescence. With no outlay for hardware, you really have nothing to lose. And if it's going to drop your overall communications bill by $100 a month, I know up here in Newfane, we don't have a whole lot of dough either. So anytime we can save the town some money, I think it's a good situation for everybody.
Marty, what would the internet provided at the fire department be? We have fiber available here at the town office, but what kind of internet service would that be provided to the fire station?
I'm assuming, and I don't know for sure, that would be a question for Regina Spillane. If we wanted to incorporate the fire department into the town-wide phone system, then I would imagine then we would need Consolidated to bring fiber into the fire station. And then you guys are on mutual aid, right? The only lines you have are non-emergency lines, correct?
I'm sorry, one more time, sir.
I said at the fire department, you guys are on mutual aid, so you don't have any Vernon emergency fire numbers anymore.
Correct.
All the numbers at the firehouse are just business lines.
Correct. I'm just concerned, you don't have to look too hard to find some complaints against Consolidated's internet service that is not the fiber optics. So if we were relying on our emergency reporting at the fire department and internet service that goes in and out, that's not something that we could really move towards. So I'm curious how we combat that.
It was my understanding is that this was going to be a town-wide solution and everybody was going to be serviced by Consolidated's fiber, because up here in Newfane, I too have Consolidated DSL and it is horrendous, but the fiber is a totally different service. So Wendy, when you got the quote from Regina, did it include the firehouse?
No, but we talked about that, and that would be an add-on. I was fighting the fire that needed attention, no pun intended, first, which was town hall. But the add-ons would be the fire department, highway. Now the EOC probably doesn't make sense where it is because we're going to move it. But it might. I just didn't have time to analyze all of those. So this quote is just for town hall. Okay.
So basically then the quote you have would just be for the town hall, and all the other town buildings would still be on their existing current Comcast or regular telephone Consolidated service. And you could always move to migrating those departments onto the whole Consolidated service as well.
Correct. And the plan, to the extent that there has been a plan, because it's been moving quickly, is to see how it goes with town hall. And then if it goes well, move them on.
Right. And I believe that's what Mr. Root was asking, was that if we just do the town hall and we kick Comcast out of here, are we going to see a rate increase on the town garage and on the fire department because we've cut services?
Well, I think that's going to be a question for Comcast, because it all depends on what the billing structure is and if it's a bundled service.
They're all different bills. They're all different agreements. And there's a couple of areas where I wish I had more information. So I don't know a way to structure the recommendation so that it gives me some time to find out more information. But for example, we have at least 5 different contracts. So Marty, the other buildings have other contracts, and they're all pretty old. So they don't seem to be tied together, but I haven't read through every sentence of the agreement. For example, one thing we could do is ask for proposals for the outliers, for the highway department and the fire department. Again, maybe not the EOC, but maybe the EOC. Maybe they could start us. Well, actually, they wouldn't want to change the service from one physical location to another. That would, I'm sure, be more expensive. But I could get quotes on that, and you guys could make a decision at the July 6th meeting. Or
Marty,
just tell me to go ahead now. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Marty, how long would it take to get fiber outside of the fire department and the town garage?
I can't speak to that, but what I could do is I can reach out to my contact at the local garage in Dummerston and see if in fact fiber does run down by the fire station. I know it goes as far as Vernon Green, down in that direction past the town office. What I'll do is I'll reach out to my consolidated guy tomorrow and ask him, hey, if it's there, and if it is, then I think it's as fast as the service order can be processed. So I'll have to get back to Wendy on that, but I will definitely make that call on your behalf tomorrow and just find out if fiber is actually that far down.
And I'm going to assume that getting fiber up to our recreation center on Pond Road is not happening.
From what I understand, their consolidated is committed, and this is all part of the stimulus package that was passed recently, is they've been receiving some funding, and I think their goal of the relatively short term is to get fiber to everywhere, to 99% of the county. Now there might be some hitches with the last mile. I'm working with a couple different outfits right now where they'll bring fiber into the complex of the building, but then there still has to be that fiber service delivered into the individual units. But again, those are all questions. Once we contact Consolidated and give them physical street addresses, they can very quickly let you folks know if and when fiber is going to be there.
Questions from the board?
So it sounds like if we currently have 5 separate Comcast bills, it's very likely that we're not getting any better deal, with, it's possible they're not giving us any discounts on any of them because we have 5 separate bills. But is that something you can check into, Wendy?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, if it's not going to make any difference if we drop one bill and do something different, it's not going to make any difference to the other 4 bills at this point. If it's not, maybe Comcast will get a clue.
Right, because the other thing to check is to make sure we don't have a prepayment penalty, and I'm pretty sure we don't, but they're kind of complicated bills.
Yeah.
What do we want to do?
They need to have phones that work.
I don't know. Can we approve Consolidated for the town hall tonight, or should we wait just a couple more weeks to get a couple of those questions resolved first?
You could approve it subject to the answers to those questions being that the price would not increase in the other locations. And what was the other question?
I think the question was, is fiber even making it down to the fire department? But that's a separate issue than providing service to the town office building.
I mean, ultimately, we want to get away from 5 contracts.
Yeah,
I mean, that's my thought. We certainly don't want to be having, that's ridiculous. So Wendy, what is the next special meeting that we have? What day is that?
We might have one on Thursday.
Would we have answers by then that could be on that agenda that we could take a vote prior to going into executive session?
Possibly, yes.
Are we okay with that, or do we want to make a decision on the town office tonight?
let's wait till Thursday. It's only 2 days.
Right.
I don't really see the point of waiting weeks or month or whatever when we can get at least this question of 5 separate contracts possibly answered by Thursday.
Right.
All right. So Wendy, would you add that to that agenda, which would have to be put out by 5 o'clock tomorrow night, right?
Yes, sir. I will do that.
Great. Thank you.
So do you want to meet in person? Let's get that.
No, I won't be able to do that.
Okay. So probably Zoom for all, I think would make sense.
Okay.
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 And then I think planning that in July, back to meeting in person for regular select board meetings.
Yes.
Okay, great. And is there any further discussion on the phone system at this point? Or if not, I think we could thank Marty for joining us and let him know that we will be in touch after Thursday's meeting.
Sounds good.
Yes. Thanks, Marty. And I may be in touch with you before the meeting.
Yes, and what I'll do is, like I said, I'll talk to my consolidated guy tomorrow. It's Mark Anderson, not the sheriff Mark Anderson, but Mark from the phone company. I'll text him in the morning and I'll ask him specifically. So it'd be the highway garage, the fire department, and the Vernon rec, correct? Those are the locations you want to find out about?
Correct.
Okay, and I'll find out at least from a craft perspective if fiber is actually going by those buildings.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you for your time, sir, and thank you for hanging out with us. We apologize for holding you up for so long.
No, I told Wendy I would help you if I could, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Also on the town office services, we had a faulty smoke detector that we're not really sure if it was a lightning strike that set it off. That was last week at some point. I got a phone call from Alex Dunkley at 4 o'clock, and he sounded way too excited to be waking me up to come let him into this building. So we had a triggered smoke detector. We were joined by Tim Alexander, who also takes care of the security system. What is that? HSS? And he pointed out that the smoke detectors in this building are extremely old and appear to be no less than 10 years old, and they should be replaced at least every 10 years. I believe that Code 3 came down and verified that those are indeed over 10 years old. And I think that we need to have a conversation about replacing them before we continue to have faulty smoke detectors. I don't know if that means that we also look at potentially switching alarm companies. I believe that we have 2 panels in here. One is a security-ish looking related one, and then we have the fire panel. And I believe that HSS put in the security one, and the fire one is taken care of by Code 3, and they are also the ones that do our smoke detectors and the extinguishers. But I think that we do need to request that the smoke detectors at a minimum are replaced so that we are into some current ones that are going to work should we need them.
Good idea.
I do not have a price on those, and I'm not sure that, obviously we need a price, but I'm not sure that that is really a hold up on this, because this is a life safety thing for our staff as well as the building. So I think that we need to approve the yeah, please hold on. We have a celebrity here that wants to chime in. Mr. David Emery.
He's still there.
That's dedicated. Double his salary.
I would encourage you all to look at the whole system. Don't just go replace the detectors, because I think the Gamewell system that's in here is probably as old. And new detection doesn't always have to be wired now. So it would be worth having Tim or somebody come in and look at the system, give you a proposal, because they'll probably less money and better, that will last longer. So that would be my suggestion.
So based on that suggestion, I would ask that we reach out to HSS and Code 3 as well. Would you? Yep. Okay. So maybe we need to, Michael's suggestion is that we go out to bid on this. Maybe we put that out to, we've got Josh King in town. We have HSS in town, and Code 3 has taken care of us for a long time. I think that we should request a bid from them as well. And let's put that bid 30 days out. Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Is that only for the detectors, or
that would be
the whole
for the
system
entire
that they
system.
go with?
The entire system.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. And Chief says that it may end up after they come in and look at it, that it is just the detectors that the recommendation is to replace those, but to at least have some services come in and look at them and give us a recommendation so that we can get up to a current system here.
Yeah, can I follow up with the chief on that too? Because the Alan from Code 3 came and explained that they serviced everything in December and didn't seem alarmed by the condition of the alarms.
Yeah, Code 3 can't install because they aren't electricians. Electricians have to install systems in the state of Vermont. Code 3 does maintain them though.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. I'm sorry if I didn't.
No, you did say that, Wendy. However, I would say if you are having detector problems with one, I'll guarantee the rest of them are going to start failing. And this would be an ideal time to say, do we need to change it and keep the system, or can we put in the newer system and save a ton of money? So okay, that's why it would be worth have Tim and maybe an electrician come in and say, yep, this is perfect time. Because I think you'll find it's less money to do it that way.
So if I can rely on you for help, that'd be great.
Yeah. Don't hesitate to call me.
So it would not be, so we would be looking to request a bid from HSS and maybe Josh King or A.L. Tyler's or, so let's try and get 3 bids and go from there. Select board okay with that to task Wendy with that?
Yes.
Yes.
Do we need a motion on that, or are we just good with the task?
Task.
Okay. Next, air conditioner. Wendy, go ahead.
And so the air conditioner failed. The air conditioner on the town hall side of the building, there's 1 out of 4 air handlers that's working. Oh gosh, I always forget his name.
Steve Gaffett.
Thank you. God, and I keep writing it down. He was at town hall. We actually had multiple problems. So there could have been a lightning strike that made the second problem happen. But in any event, it's not worth fixing them. And he is prepared to provide it. So he'll get us a quote by tomorrow. So this could also be on the 17th agenda for 2 air source heat pumps, one to serve the treasurer's office and the other one to serve the town clerk's office. So there would be air conditioners, but then they would also be heat sources. So there's a rebate on them because of.
Are these the mini splits?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And it would just be 2 independent machines so that we could add more later, which is good. We don't have to replace a system that can handle the whole building. These would just take care of the places that are not functional now. And if something happens to the air conditioner for the lister's office, then we get another one. And we make a plan next year on what makes sense to replace and not do it helter-skelter like this.
So is everybody all right with putting that on the 17th agenda as long as we have the information by 5 o'clock tomorrow?
Yeah, it's a good idea.
I would like to put it out to multiple companies.
Generally, yes, I would say put it out to multiple companies, but what'll happen this year if we do that is that it won't get done until the end of the summer probably because everyone is so busy with work. I think we should have enough information to evaluate the quote though, because folks know how much those typically cost. The variable will be the electrician and getting an electrician because that's a challenge.
You don't need an HVAC company for split units. You only need an electrician.
Okay.
I used to help them install them in Afghanistan and Iraq.
All right. So got your tools?
I'm not an electrician. I only helped.
Yeah. So that's how I got the information was he has access and he has installed these and I don't know.
He's very good. He's good. He's done work for me, plenty of work for me. And I'd highly recommend Steve Gassett.
All right, so we'll wait for more information for the 17th meeting. Yes? Everybody good with that? All right, great. I do want to bounce back to the Windham County Sheriff Contract Amendment, and I would ask that the board make a motion to allow Wendy to sign that contract for us so that that can get back to Mark at a reasonable time.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded by Mr. Dunkley. All those in favor, please say aye. Michael?
Aye.
Sandy?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Jeff?
Aye.
Chris is an aye. Wendy will take care of that for us tomorrow, please.
Sure.
Or at your convenience. It doesn't have to be tomorrow.
Yeah.
I apologize. Next, the Tax Stabilization Committee. I'm not really sure. We nominated Tom Garino to that. That prompted Carol Hammond to reach out and say, what's this about? Because the Lister's office has kind of always overseen tax stabilization. They just haven't done anything. It hasn't been, they haven't had meetings, they haven't. So he just asked that if we plan to reinstate that, they be a part of that. I was looking through the town report. I don't see the Tax Stabilization Committee in there that would tell us how many vacancies, who's on that, or any of that. Does anybody have any insight on that?
So I think I'm still on it. The last time we met.
Is there anything you're not on?
Yeah, I just can't get off of anything.
Yeah.
So generally, I think, it was the listers, the select board chair. I was, I don't know, probably it's a question too for Carol, if she recalls, but I mean, it was an ad hoc committee. Basically, when we negotiated with Energy, the tax stabilization agreement that still is in place.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably have to go back to the first year of what the stabilization taxes were. But like I said, I recall chair of the select board, myself, the listers, and we had, she was, and I think because she was the chair at the time.
So in a conversation with Martin, and I would hesitate to call for a nomination for him this evening without a further conversation with him, but he did express some interest in seeing that brought back to life. He also said that he may be willing to sit on that. I guess at this point, I would be looking for the board to ask Martin to maybe seek some volunteers for that so that we could bring that back to life. He could put out something on the website as well as the Facebook page asking for interest in that. No, Jeff, I see you. Okay.
No, I wouldn't agree with that.
Okay.
I mean, it was a little more selective than just running an ad in the on Facebook or whatever. I wouldn't all feel comfortable just throwing it out there and whoever wants to do it. I mean, I agree with Tom Garino. He certainly had a tremendous amount of experience dealing with financial matters and probably negotiations in his role as town manager. But I wouldn't do that, certainly without having a visit with Carol Hammond. And I don't think it's a committee just to, hey, you want to be on it. It's too important when, you're going to negotiate with a corporation.
Right, but it would still be up to this board to determine who is going to be accepted and appointed to that. And the only way that we would know that is if we had any letters of interest from people that would want to be.
But is there any reason to reactivate it now? I can't remember what date the stabilization is going to run out.
I don't see how imperative it is to have a meeting. I mean, I'm not sure what year the agreement runs out, but I don't see forming an ad hoc
this just came up because we nominated Tom to this because he submitted a letter of interest to the select board asking to be nominated to that, and we nominated him to that, which sounds like we nominated somebody to a committee that is stagnant and not doing anything. So
I don't know the story of. I mean, maybe I missed that meeting. I mean, I never saw his letter or why he expressed an interest in being on the committee. The committee is essentially dormant at this point. I certainly welcome his participation again because of his experience. Maybe I probably was at the meeting where I agreed with nominating him, but I don't really know what the background was with his interest. And like I said, it's a dormant committee, essentially ad hoc. That's why you don't see it in any of the town reports. I'm not trying to be difficult or anything. It just right at this point, it's a little premature to, hey, Martin, advertise for this committee that.
Right. And the only reason we're discussing this is because Tom submitted that letter. That prompted, because we made a nomination, that prompted a question from Carol Hammond, which also prompted a conversation with Martin. So I'm not really sure what is going on with this. What did you find? So 2022 is when the stabilization is up. That's next year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, does that make sense that this is time to be reactivating that with that coming to an end? Or
I would think at least this fall. Yeah.
Yeah, in the fall. Around September.
I mean, I don't know exactly. I mean, the agreement ends June 30th. Certainly, we'd have to have negotiations with North Star at least by the wintertime.
Yeah, and normally Carol asks for it to start up.
Yeah, she seemed awfully confused by this whole thing too. So that's, but I mean, but the conversation we had, there was no mention of 2022 or anything. She just wanted to make sure that she was a part of the information going forward. So it sounds like we need to make sure that people are aware that 2022 is the year and that we're looking at this. So what would the next step be with that? That we just wait to hear from Carol and
ask her to let us know what's going on.
I can have a conversation with Carol.
That'd be good.
Okay. And again, Martin has expressed some interest in being a part of this as well. So it may be worth following up with him. I mean, I think he's capable and qualified to be a part of that negotiation as well, based off from his relationship with Energy and the Planning Commission. And I could be wrong with that, but I would think that he's somebody that could easily be a part of that.
Sure.
Okay. So I'll leave that up to you, Jeff, to follow up with Carol and then maybe report back to the board and just let them know what needs to happen next.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and it maybe, after a conversation, we can better identify who's still around that was, like Sandy said, Patty O'Donnell was part of it. But I think that was her role as chair. It may not have been. It might have been as a citizen.
Okay.
I don't know. I just think it's too important a committee when you're negotiating something that big to the town and the community to say, hey, you want to do it?
And I agree with that. I mean, I guess my thought behind that was that it still comes before the board and the board still has the final say, but the only way we're going to know what we have out there for people that are willing to step up for that is to kind of ask for that. But
well, I mean, too, you can also, if there's some individuals that we feel are very well qualified to invite a volunteer, to express interest in somebody that, we feel would be good at negotiating a big financial deal. But anyways, I'm more than happy to visit with Carol to see what the state is and
okay,
what we're going to do going forward for next year.
Great. Anything else for this evening? Upcoming meetings, Wendy, go ahead.
We need a relatively quick executive session to talk about the town administrator search, please.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the board go into executive session with our town administrator on the appointment, employment, or evaluation of a public officer employee, 1 VSA 3133A3.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. We are in executive session at 9:19. All right, we went into executive session at 9:19, came out at 9:29. No action was taken. Next special select board meeting will be Thursday, June 17th at 4:30 p.m. Is that correct, Wendy?
Yes, sir.
Let's warn that for 4:15, please.
I'm saying, yes, thank you.
Okay. So 4:15 on Thursday, and then the next regular select board meeting will be Tuesday, July 6th at 6:30. Any further discussion? All right, a motion to get out of here.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, have a good night, everybody. Austin, thanks for being here.